I was 8 the first time I saw the Dollmaker. Not a person, a shadow. He lived in my grandfather's basement, or so I believed. My parents said it was my imagination, another one of those things kids invent when the house creaks too loud at night. But I know what I saw. He wore a leather apron stained with something dark. His eyes glowed like candle wax. And in his hands, always, a doll. Sometimes it had no eyes. Sometimes it had too many. He never spoke. He just sewed. My grandfather was a quiet man. He owned an old toy shop in our village, the kind of place with wooden horses and marionettes hanging from the ceiling. I remember the smell of it, dust, varnish, something like dried roses and iron. He used to say, "A doll is more than a toy. It's a house for the forgotten." I never understood what he meant, not until after he died. When we cleaned out the shop, my mother asked me to go through the storage boxes in the attic. She said I could keep any toy I liked. And there, under a pile of blankets, I found her. A cloth doll, crudely stitched, with thick black thread running across its mouth and eyes. A tag on her chest read, "Do not unseal." But I was a curious child, so I did. That night I woke to find the doll on my chest. Its eyes were open now, not buttons, not thread, but something wet, organic, human. I screamed. My parents rushed in, but the doll was gone. The next day I found it hanging by its neck in the attic. No one had put it there, and no one believed me. From then on, the whispers began, late at night, always from behind the walls. At first they were quiet, like someone praying. Then I realized it wasn't prayer. It was chanting, words I didn't understand, rhythmic, repetitive, hypnotic, and always ending with the same phrase, "Make her whole again." I stopped sleeping. I became obsessed with the doll, drawing her face over and over again, on walls, on mirrors, even on my skin. My mother took me to a priest. He told her I had spiritual vulnerability. He told me the doll wasn't a toy, that it was a vessel. He used words like binding, host, and demonic transference. He said the stitches weren't decoration, they were seals, and I had broken them. I started seeing the Dollmaker again, in mirrors, in shadows. Once in my dreams, I stood in the middle of a room filled with thousands of dolls, limp, broken, twisted. He stood at the end, threading a needle with my hair. He whispered, "You unmade her. You must finish what you began." I began waking up with needle marks on my arms, not deep, not bloody, just enough to sting. Once my tongue was stitched to the roof of my mouth when I woke. Only briefly, the thread dissolved within seconds, but the taste of blood remained for days. I began hearing scratching behind the walls. Not mice, nails, tiny, childlike nails. I knocked once. Something knocked back. Then came the ritual. I found the journal in my grandfather's safe, hidden beneath floorboards. It wasn't a diary, it was a grimoire, filled with drawings of dolls with human organs, instructions in Latin, symbols etched in ash and oil. One page was marked with a red X, the restoration rite, a ritual to restore a vessel, soul, to make her whole again, to summon the forgotten. There were 3 steps: the offering of blood, the naming of the vessel, and the prayer of remembrance. I burned the book, but the pages returned the next morning, scattered across my bedroom floor, and the doll sat atop them, smiling. Last week, I gave in, not because I believed, but because I was losing my mind. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't trust my eyes or ears anymore. So I did the ritual. I pricked my finger and let a drop fall onto her stitched mouth. I whispered her name, Mara, a name I didn't recognize, but that came from somewhere deep inside. And then I prayed. Not to God, but to whatever listened. The room went cold, the lights flickered, and then silence. For the first time in weeks, I slept. Peacefully, no shadows, no whispers, no dreams. When I awoke, the doll was gone. For 3 days I thought it was over, until today I received a package. Inside, a new doll, perfectly stitched, lifelike eyes, a veil of black lace over her face, and a note, "You remembered her. Now she will never forget you."